talking about some other elements that can be very useful for you. So if you find some free time, just you can look at freely by yourself. However, as I already mentioned, leaders in the group may face certain challenges, and it's very important to understand that there is no guarantee that the group work will be successful, and especially maybe the first few meetings. And as you already experienced from yesterday's experience, no matter how you're prepared, you don't know how people will react. You don't know how people, you can't know how people will behave in the group. There are a lot of different processes, psychological processes happening there from your side, but also from the group side. Some people are not fully ready to participate. Some people, and this is also can relate to our clients. As I already said, some people are forced to come to group and to participate, and it takes some time for them to feel adapted and to start collaborating with the others in the group. Fear and anxiety are completely normal situations, so don't worry about that. Fear and anxiety from our side as a group leader is something that's happening. It's a normal thing. And of course, I remember when I started this course, I knew there's going to be a very big group of students because I used to work mostly with the master level students in master program, and the groups are much smaller. And I also was like, oh my God, I have now organized all these groups, and we had to organize everything online, how it's going to work. And I knew that the situation is not going to be perfect and I'm going to make some kind of mistakes. But this is something that we have to accept when we work with the service users in social work practice as a group, that there is no successful guarantee that everything gonna be perfect, and that we have to accept that some mistakes can happen, of course. So this, we should also embrace this fear and anxiety as a leaders, and this is a very normal thing. Also, main challenge that group leaders might face is connected with negative reactions from the members, like critics, conflicts from the members. And we have to know that very often maybe some kind of defensive reactions by the group members might happen because there are some other psychological reasons for that. So very often group members might testing authority, testing our role as a group leader. Sometimes there's some kind of jealousy that they project when they maybe have some negative reactions toward us or towards maybe other group members. And there are a lot of projection of different kind of feelings from the group members, and maybe a certainty, because as we know, they're participating in something that they're not sure how it's going to develop. They're not sure how it's going to look like. So there's a lot of uncertainty happening from the side of the group members. And confrontation of members is something that's going to happen very often, especially if you work with certain groups. As I already mentioned, I used to work in a big group of people who had different problems in mental health, the different diagnoses. And we had situations when confrontation was happening very often, when group members were very defensive. But this is something that we also have to learn how to deal with this confrontation. And here actually put it in another slide, question, why this confrontation might happening and what lies behind this. There are, of course, some kind of defense mechanisms from service users and or the members of the group. And these defense mechanisms, probably you've heard a lot of about this through your education in social work. These defense mechanisms refers to unconscious self-protection of the person to protect its own ego from intense feelings or affections or impulses. So here in this picture, you can see different kind of defense mechanisms that a person might show, like displacement, repression, sublimation, and regression. Even though this is our English terms, I'm sure that similar terms also exist in the Norwegian language, because in my native language we would also use almost very similar words to explain these defense mechanisms. And here in another slide, I also put the table which explain and describe certain mechanism like repression or projection, and with certain examples, so you can understand better if you need a little bit more information. What does it mean? Why some persons might project their unacceptable thoughts and feelings towards another person, towards us, like leaders of the group, or maybe towards another group members. They can happen a lot of some kind of denials, displacements, and I think it's important to understand that if members take a risk and confront the leader, we also need to be open for that, because this also sends some kind of signals to the group members that if we are not confident with confrontation, that the group is not open, that people cannot be open and honest about their feelings. So we should not repress confrontation. We just have to learn how we can confront back in the professional way, not in the same way. This is a very important point. Because if someone verbally, for example, abuses us as a leader, this can happen. It is not professional for you to respond in a defensive manner. So we have to learn how to do this in a different kind of way. So we have to learn how to keep this professional stance with the group members, and also understand how their behavior is not going to affect us as professionals. So, for example, we might use certain kind of expressions when we work with the groups. Here, for example, we can say, if someone is verbally aggressive towards us, we can say, I don't like the way you do this to me, the way you communicated with this in a very offensive way. But me as a group leader, I'm willing to work with you to understand what it is I do to evoke your reactions to me. So I will see what I'm doing that you react in this kind of way. So this is just kind of illustrative way of, or maybe example for you, how we can modify these reactions and also let them to know that we are affected as professionals, as group leader with this confrontation. But also that is okay for them to express in certain way anger and frustration, but to be able to modulate, be able to navigate this in a professional way and a professional manner. So this can be also helpful. So we will try to confront back, but in a professional way. And this is something that social workers learn as a skill. And this also is going to help us in the future work, not just in group works, but also with the clients, how we can express these emotions in a respectful manner back to our clients. Because no matter if you're working with the groups or if you work with individuals, with the service users groups, I mean, there's going to happen probably a lot of confrontations and maybe some kind of verbally aggression that we have to learn how we return back the situation. Because if we're gonna do the same way they're doing to us, it's not gonna be productive at all. This is not professional way, and we're not gonna have a positive result. So here in this slide, you can see better what's standing behind this kind of defensive reactions of service users. So we have to know there are different kind of defensive mechanisms that are unconsciously happening in the minds of our members or service users. So when we better understand these elements, it's much easier then to work with people. So as I said, just be familiar yourself, if you're not have been be familiar so far about these different kind of coping mechanisms that people might have: repression, denial, projection, displacement, regression, and sublimation.